In today's video, I'm going to show you how to do the Tunisian full stitch, which you can see has a really nice woven look to it. It's really flexible. I have used it here on a washcloth with 100% cotton yarn, which does not have a lot of flexibility, and so you can see even with an inflexible yarn, this still has a lot of flexibility in it. So we are going to learn how to do that today. I'm going to walk you through step by step. So let's stitch. So I have a size, I believe it is a size F Tunisian crochet hook. You can see it's much longer than a regular crochet hook. And I just have some medium weight synthetic yarn that has some elasticity in it, which is easier to work with than the sugar and cream 100% cotton that I made the washcloth with. So for this tutorial, I'm going to go ahead and use this more flexible yarn that's just a little easier to work with and show people how to use. So for the Tunisian crochet, we're going to start by making a foundation row. All rows in Tunisian crochet are built in two stages, a front pass and a back pass. So for this full stitch, we're going to go ahead and chain 10. If you want to stitch along, go ahead and grab any size hook and yarn that you have handy. It's a very short sample, so even if you just have a regular crochet hook, you can go ahead and try this out. The reason that the Tunisian hooks are so long is because you carry the stitches on the hook for the front pass. So if you have a lot of stitches that you're working with, you're going to need a much longer hook to hold all of those. But for this sample, since we're only doing 10 stitches, even if you just have a regular hook, you can go ahead and grab it and use it just to learn the basics before you run out and grab a Tunisian hook to start a project with. So we're going to do 10. I have 4 here. Let's go ahead and finish out these last few chain stitches. All right, I believe that's 10. All right, so I like to work into the little loop that's on the back of the chain stitch. If that's too difficult for you, you can just work directly into the chain, whatever works best for you, depending on your skill level, and just, you know, what you want for your project. I like working into the back because then this is what the bottom looks like, which is very finished and all the stitches are really even. And you do that by working into these little loops that are on the back of the chain stitches. So we're gonna go down this row and I'm gonna insert into each one of these little back loops, and I'm gonna pick up a stitch and put it onto my hook. So I'm gonna yarn over and pull up a loop, and I'm going to go to the next one. You can see like getting through that little loop can sometimes be a little challenging. Yarn over and pull up a loop. And you can see I'm just leaving those loops on the hook as we go along. And I'm going to keep doing that for all 10 of these stitches all the way down. Insert through, yarn over, pull up a loop, pull up a loop, and I'm just going to check to make sure that these aren't too tight, because when I do my back pass, I don't want these loops to be too tight, otherwise it'll be really hard to get back through them. So just be a little conscious of your tension as you're picking up loops, not just on this first row, but any row where you're doing the front pass, picking up loops. All right, we have just one more here. All right, so now we have 10 loops on our hook. So to finish this foundation row, since we've done our forward pass, now we're going to do our back pass. So I'm going to yarn over, and I'm going to, again, yarn over, I'm just going to pull through one loop. All right, now I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to pull through 2 loops. And I'm going to continue doing a yarn over and pulling through 2 loops until I get back to the end. And I'm just dropping those off of the hook as we go along. So yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And also when you get your loops a little too tight, it makes it more difficult to get through without having some of those issues that I just had with getting a string from one of the loops stuck on the hook. So, all right, and then the last one, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, that is our foundation row that we're going to be working from. So for the full stitch, we're going to start off, we're going to insert the hook into this very first little space. You can see this space in between the 2 stitches all the way down. You can see there's these little spaces. So we're going to insert into that first space, and we're going to pull up a loop, and we're going to do that until we get to the second to last stitch. So I'm just going to yarn over and pull up loops in between the stitches all the way down. And I'm checking to make sure that my loops aren't too tight. Last one here, the second before the end stitch. So you can see I still have one more space here in between these 2 stitches. I'm not going to insert into that one. I'm going to go right to the end, and just like on the simple stitch, if you turn your work to the side, you can see those 2 little loops that form an upside down V. That's where you're going to be inserting your hook. So you want to get both of those loops onto your hook. There's 1 and there's 2. So now you can see I have both of those loops on my hook. I'm going to yarn over and pull up a loop from that. And now for the back pass, it's going to be just the same as for the first row. We're going to yarn over and pull through just 1. And then we're going to yarn over and pull through 2 all the way down. So yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, until we get all the way to the end. All right, so this is going to be the alternating. So on the first row, we inserted into the very first space, which would be here. For the second row, we're going to skip the first space and we're going to insert into the second space. So insert and pull up a loop all the way down. Checking that, make sure that your loops aren't too tight. And this time we're not going to skip that last space. So here we are at the very last space in between the stitches, but we're not going to skip it this time. We're going to go into that last one and we're going to pick up a loop, and then we're going to insert into that end stitch just like we did for the first row, where we have the 2 loops on there. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over. And to do the back pass is just the same. We're going to yarn over, pull through 1, and then yarn over, pull through 2, all the way back down. And if you've made sure that the tension was right and that you had a little bit of space in all of these loops as you were going, this should go very smoothly. If your loops were too tight as you were pulling them up, that's when you're going to have trouble getting back down this row, because these loops can get very tight if you're not conscious of your tension as you're going along. So now we're going to alternate back to inserting into this first stitch, and then we're going to be skipping this last space, and you're going to keep doing that, alternating all the way through the project. That's what gives it the really nice woven look of the full stitch. It's very unique. You can still tell it's crochet, but it has just a unique look to it, and that's what I love about Tunisian crochet. It just is enough different to just really catch your eye and be like, oh, that's really gorgeous. And that's the gift of the Tunisian crochet. And it's just fun to do. It is fun. It's like a, to me, it's like a cross between knitting and crochet. So there we've got everything on. We're to the last space. We're going to go ahead and skip that last stitch, and we're just going to work into that end stitch and pull up a loop. And then we're going to do our back pass, where we yarn over and pull through just 1, and that is creating this really nice finished look on the end. And then yarn over and pull through 2, all the way back down. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to finish a few more rows, and then we'll look at our sample so we can see how our woven full stitch Tunisian crochet is coming along. So I went ahead and did another row here, and you can see the really nice woven look that's just very unique that you don't find with the traditional crochet, and that is what makes this so fun to work with. So if we wanted to look at what a whole project looks like with this, here is the washcloth that I made using this stitch in a lovely coral pattern. I went ahead and I single crocheted around the edges to give it that nice finishing look, but you can see that the woven look of the full stitch here just gives this washcloth just a really unique look, and I just love this stitch. So I hope that you have enjoyed this tutorial I will have the pattern for the crocheted spa set that includes the pattern for 3 different Tunisian crochet washcloths, and I have other videos, one with the simple stitch, and I will be doing a video with the Tunisian honeycomb stitch that you can check out when you have time. And don't forget to subscribe so you can keep up with all of my tutorials and fresh content. So until next time, happy stitching.